Hey everyone, it's El Nicole here, back with another review for Cloak and Dagger. Episode 4 just aired tonight, and so if you're interested in my review, make sure that you stick around and stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe, share, comment, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any new videos from me. All right guys, let's go ahead and jump right into the Episode 4 review of Cloak and Dagger. I did that in under a minute. All right, everyone. So episode 4 of Cloak and Dagger, again, like I said, just aired tonight. And you all so far, like if you've been keeping up with me this far, you know that I am truly just blown away with the show. Like I really like Cloak and Dagger. And I'm so glad that it came on during the summer because it's easy to kind of get lost with other primetime shows. And I feel like I would have had to like catch up by like watching it on Hulu or something. But like I literally am looking, I feel like I'm like doing TGIT again. And I'm just really looking forward to my Thursdays and watching Cloak and Dagger. It's just been so good so far. It's been so deep. Like I'm really appreciating Freeform for that because it could be really surface level. It could be really like gum poppy or whatever. And they didn't do that. Like it's really like, I'm loving it. Like Freeform, I'm truly digging Cloak and Dagger. Like I'm just so excited about it. Like you guys. So anyways, so my review for episode 4, a lot happened in this episode tonight. I felt like a lot of answers. We got a lot of answers to a lot of questions, but then I feel like we got a lot more questions than we probably did from the last 3 episodes. And I'm a little confused in some places, but then I'm like, yep. And some other places, like, I'm just like all over the place with like how I'm feeling about it, but I know for sure that I'm truly enjoying the show. So what we witnessed tonight on the 4th episode, which I appreciated so much, was them having a conversation about what they saw of each other in their unconscious minds, right? Anyways, when they were both unconscious. So yeah, so they're unconscious minds. And I appreciated it because if you're somebody like me, some of the, like you can interpret yourself what happened in episode 3, but you still might not have been completely sure. You might have felt like maybe I'm being too deep and then maybe I'm not being deep enough. And so I appreciated the fact that they had a dialogue about it and really explained what we saw and what was happening. And what I appreciated the most about it too was that Tandy and Ty were telling each other what they think was going on versus I tell you the story and then you give me an interpretation, because at the end of the day that pretty much would have just put them in the same place of insanity, of doing the same thing and trying to get a different result, because they would have been making excuses for themselves. So I really appreciated the fact that like Ty was telling Tandy what he saw, what he witnessed, and his interpretation, and then vice versa with Tandy. Again, they're having the conversation, they're having the dialogue. Ty explains what he saw, Tandy explains what she saw. And like I said, in the midst of this, we're seeing what's happening after this conversation. Ty, of course, is still struggling and dealing with like being angry and things like that. And so in the beginning of the episode, there's this like he kind of has an attitude with his parents, and I was like, ooh, he gonna get a whooping when he get home. But he didn't. But then we see him come home later on that day. His dad said he was looking for like his bolt cutters, finds them in Ty's bag, and then tells Ty, come on, you're going with me. And so he takes him, I'm going to say, to like where he was from, or like a place like he's never maybe shown Ty or anything like that. And he does like this cry song or whatever, like, of course it's like a song with information that because at first I kind of thought his dad was a part of a gang. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, I thought he was like a part of a gang and maybe like one of the top dogs in the gang or something like that. So he could just pull up whatever he want to. But that's not what it was. I think it was something like kind of more like New Orleans culture based. Cause because it was like a song, and then like the other guy walked out and gave his answer back in another song, and then he was like, I feel like where you been, you don't come around here no more, I should slit your throat right now. And he pulls out a razor, and then he stops like right here. Y'all see that right here? He stops right there at his neck, and then they hug each other and they laugh, and then it's over. So like, I guess that's like if you go cuckoo and then your homegirl goes cuckoo back to you. I feel like it was something like that. Takes Ty into the house, and Ty's looking around. There's like a picture wall of people who have passed away as well, and his brother is also on the wall. And then the guy that like acted like he was gonna cut his dad's neck comes up to him and tells him like his brother was practicing to become something, and Ty asked him what it was, and he was basically saying like somebody who goes out and tells us, like goes out looking for the trouble to prepare us for the trouble. Interpret that how you want to, because what he said his brother was preparing to do, his dad was, because his dad said it in like his opening song or whatever when he first arrived. And so that was really, I liked it because to me it was like cultural, and I think we'll probably learn more about it later on into the season. But what I really liked about this whole thing is that Ty finds his cloak, and that was really cool. And I think there's, just something special about it because it was something that his dad was a part of, his brother was a part of, and although he hasn't experienced it or he's not a part of it as of yet, he still found something within there. And so it's almost like he still has a piece of his brother and his family and his culture and everything. I might be overthinking that, but that's how I felt when I watched it. So onto the flip side of it, we see Tandy. Tandy goes back home, makes a truce with her mom, and tells her mom she wants to help with like the Roxanne case and learn more about it and everything. She also has like this back and forth because she doesn't trust her mom's boyfriend, because we come to find out the mom's boyfriend is married. So yeah, and she's just like, there's no good that's gonna come from it, etc., etc. Boyfriend shows up and they end up having their own conversation. She's talking to him and she decides to touch his hand to kind of see what his hopes are. And because she doesn't trust him, I'm thinking she's expecting to maybe see like he's hopeful to work it out with his wife or something. I don't know. But she ends up seeing him like having this relationship with her mom and with her and everything like that. And so I think that made it easier for her to kind of trust him and open up to him. And so she does. And so we see them working on the case together. They go to his office, I guess, which, am I the only one who thought his office was like really shady looking? It just looked shady. Like I was like, are you really a lawyer? Like okay. But anyways, so he was helping with the case and everything. But I'm like, so nobody sees this car driving by looking through the window and stuff? Like nobody sees that? So clearly he was being watched by somebody or whatever, and which means that Tandy and her mom have to still be, they must be being watched as well. Because other than that, how would you know? Like, I mean, he could be anybody. He literally could just be a boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? So it's evident that Roxanne is still watching them, because we know that, they set her dad up or whatever. So anyways, so spoiler, boyfriend is killed and they set his shady office on fire. And Tandy witnesses all of this. And this happens after her mom decides to break up with him. And so on her way home to tell her mom like what happened, she hears her on the phone leaving him a message. And so I guess in that moment she just decides not to tell her, but she's going to find out eventually. So yeah, what else happened in this episode? What else happened? So while we're seeing all of this, their conversation is still going on at the church. And then of course they see what happens when they come together with their powers, and then they have a blowback, which duh, you already did that. You got to figure out another way to kind of make your powers work or come out, but whatever. And then of course the conversation starts to get a little bit more intense and a little bit more heated. Tandy talks about how she's contemplated suicide. Ty's like, what? Like, why would you want to do that? Da-da-da-da-da. And then she's like, well, I'm sorry. I don't come from a 2-parent household. I love that conversation, because then Tandy flips it on him and she's like, I get all that, but don't judge me for suicide, of thinking of suicide, because what you are doing is suicide in itself. She tells him it's suicide by cop. And I think it just goes back to like him trying to do the same thing or being revengeful, and you're getting the same result. And somehow, some way, you're going to end up dead in this situation. And in its own way, it's a form of suicide. Like, it was, y'all, the conversation is just so deep. It's just so deep. Like, I feel like they could have a class on Cloak and Dagger dialogue, you know? Like, it's just so deep. It's just so good. So he tells her go to hell, and she tells him go to hell. But they must have learned something from each other, because at the end of the episode, they take different routes. And then this time when he goes back, he asks for Officer O'Reilly. And my assumption is because she tried to help Tandy. And then Tandy, instead of running away or giving up after witnessing what happened, she goes back to the shady office and goes into his safe and uses one of her light daggers to cut into the safe and get the papers that she knew was in there about the case out. That was episode 4, and I thought it was really, really good. I appreciated that they really explained to us what happened in episode 3. I appreciated the fact that we didn't have to have a whole episode long of dialogue. Like, we didn't have to have this whole episode of them explaining to us what they saw in their unconscious world. Like, I didn't need to see all that. And I appreciated the fact that in the midst of all of this, they showed us what was happening all at the same time. So we're still moving forward. I still do not trust Detective O'Reilly, which I told you all I was going to do my research, and she is shady in the comments, okay? I just want everybody to know that she's shady. She's shady. She's a shady person. And I still feel like she's shady, but I'm interested to see where they're going to go with her. They really could make her character good if they wanted to, or they can make her bad, or maybe she becomes bad later on down the line. I don't know. But I still personally think that she's shady. So when she pops up shady, don't y'all be mad at me, because I told you what was going to happen, okay? I know it's only been 4 episodes, and they really can disappoint me by the end of the season. But I'm really, really happy, and I think Cloak and Dagger just might be it. It just might be the show of the summer. All right, guys. So that's my review of episode 4. I think we have a lot more things to go through. I think we have a lot more digging to do. So let me know what you're thinking. Leave me some comments below. Let's talk about the show. How are you feeling about Cloak and Dagger so far? Are you interested? Are you like, nah? Like, you know, were you hoping for something more like the CW with like their superheroes? I know that's DC, but you know, were you expecting something like that? Let's talk about it. Leave me some comments below. Don't forget to like, dislike, either way. I know that you're watching, and I love you for doing so. Share it with your friends, plug it in, tell everybody that they need to be watching Cloak and Dagger, because it's bomb. That's how I feel about it. Anyways, I love you guys for watching, and until next week,